swords.
Take this time to consider your past deeds.
Stop asking questions. You had your chance. Let the games begin.
Hello and welcome to Velen's Chosen. We're here to buff your game. We exist to help budget players stay competitive on the ladder, and every season just end a little bit higher than the last time, no matter what your card pool on the ladder.
I am undefeated.
That was the Master Jouster.
He is the master.
Today joining me we have the Dragon Priestess Extraordinaire, Evemartyn. How are you doing?
Woot woot.
And then on the other corner we have the Cold Light Oracle Freeze Mage, Andrew Brown.
Cards for everyone.
Yeah. Oh man, today so much stuff happened since the last episode, you guys. So
True.
much.
BlizzCon happened.
Like a thief in the
all
night.
the IPs.
It was so exciting. It was so fun. There was so much information. I still haven't finished watching all of the VODs. I've got it for another, 2 weeks, I think, that I can keep the virtual ticket.
I got so hyped I bought the virtual ticket on the first day because I couldn't help it.
Wow.
I was like, I want the virtual ticket because they just told me that I can get Cho'Gall in Heroes. Like, woo!
Yes.
That's a big deal.
So now we can help Andrew get Cho'Gall because I have him.
Yeah.
And the card back. I mean, maybe it's a little thing, but the card back is so pretty.
I have the card back from my Freeze Mage now. It looks amazing.
I love it.
It's so good. It's the only card back that I think that I'm using besides my Legend card back. So, pretty cool. What you guys been up to in the game? Let's dive in.
Until we get the heroic card back for finishing all of the wings and explorers.
Yeah.
It's a really nice one, too.
Yeah. I will say this, guys. All three of your hosts this week slammed down the heroic bosses in one night. Thank you very much. All three of us. Andrew? Did you not?
I did one of the heroic bosses.
You only did the last
We
one. You
spoke too
fooled me.
soon.
You jerk.
I had a list, and it seemed like it would be simple if you just freeze everything and you're just trying to outlast them. It was like, okay, that's pretty doable. I can just knock that out real quick. But I don't really enjoy the heroic bosses, honestly. I know a lot of people like the challenge, but for me, it usually takes too long, and I don't know. It's just not that interesting to me, so...
Okay, I'll say
I
it
love
right
the
now.
heroic
I'm not doing it
bosses.
for the challenge or for the fun. I'm doing it for the card back. That's all. My only
and
reason. It's
that's-
basically torture. It's basically
definitely
putting
my-
yourself through torture.
Yeah, that's definitely the only reason I'll do it too, and I will eventually. I was just telling Rob last night I didn't finish Black Rock Mountain just because I got fatigued from doing all the heroic modes. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I need to go back and do those. I need to do this one. Whatever, it'll happen at some point.
Andrew Brown is the prince of real life fatigue damage.
That's true. I have taken fatigue damage. I'm on minus 11 at this point. I don't know.
And he's playing
completely
against a
agree
control
with you.
warrior.
Yeah,
it
that's
feels
right.
like the heroic modes are just like you need to get the god draw or you're gonna lose, and it
That's
doesn't
exactly
seem
right.
quite fair.
That's what the last two bosses are always like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
just
there's
rough.
literally 4 or 5 bosses of the entire expansions that happen. So Naxxramas, Blackrock Mountain, and what is it? League of Explorers. There's always going to be those 4 bosses that are crap. And I'll tell you right now, Blackrock Mountain, the top 2 bosses besides the heroic Nefarian with Onyxia was actually Valistraz was pretty tough. He's the guy that mills you. And what was the one that Maloriak, the guy who like swaps the attack and health of everything on the board and then buffs his own minions. That guy's a pain.
Oh yeah.
So
you would think
those are awful.
that because with the Temple Escape, I believe you know what they're going to drop for sure every single turn, right? It's the same every single time. You would think that it would be easier to plan for that, but man, it just isn't. I can't remember how many turns it took me to get heroic down, but it just felt like brutal.
All right, well, let's get into that. So before we actually start through the show today, we're going to plan on going through our show every week that there's a new week of cards announced. And I guess not announced, but released to the public. Then we will reveal the cards instead of doing a big card show like most of the hard shows work. I think it will help our players kind of understand what they need when they need it.
In bite-sized bits. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're giving you the little bites, all right? So, but before we jump in, I'm going to be doing a hardcore heroic push every Thursday night, hopefully before the shows. And I'm providing all of my deck guides, and I'm trying to not just make it through the heroic wings, but actually try to make it through with a reasonable, deck building for budget players.
Super helpful.
So
Yep.
I know that my deck lists might have a few legendaries in them, but the more I was playing in the second boss especially, and the third boss, I realized, these aren't so much dependent on if you have legendaries as much as it is dependent on you getting the exact cards when you need them, like Eve was mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
So I will provide those. I'll put a link in our show notes so you can just go to our website and you can click the link. It's on Reddit under the Hearthstone subreddit. It's on Hearthpwn. I put 2 of the decks up. I didn't put a deck up for the first boss because it's pretty self-explanatory. Just play Tempo Mage until you win. Pretty easy.
Or I did Fast Druid.
Yeah. I mean, anything that uses a lot of spells is just going to win. So, yeah. What was the last boss? We used Freeze Mage, right?
Yes.
And then, which was awesome because we just started talking about how you could do budget Freeze Mage, and it's just like golden. Budget Freeze Mage is like is the best way to beat it.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
I used the
second boss,
OTK
what'd you guys
Priest for
do?
the second one.
OTK Priest?
Yeah,
Andrew?
so basically buff up a minion like Deathlord, or I actually, was it the champion, the new one that we just got? Blessed Champion? The one that's attack gets higher the more you heal.
Blessed Champion.
Yeah, Blessed Champion. So got that buffed up until it was like 22 attack or something.
Shoot.
Had it behind a taunt and destroyed. So just those
Dang.
priest cards to buff up their health and then make their attack equal to their health. And then like 1-shot or 2-shot kill the boss. That's how I did the second heroic.
I felt like my method was a lot more gimmicky, but it worked really well. Basically what I did is I played Priest and I did Dragon Priest cards, but I didn't use all of them. So I actually ran double oozes to take care of the Arcanite Reapers. And I ran every card that had silence on it. So I ran actual silences, I ran double Mass Dispel, which was great for card draw, and I ran double Spellbreakers and double Owls. And I think I ended up cutting 1 owl for another minion. And it worked really, really well. Lots of cheap minions, lots of silences, lots of healing cards. I even threw Chillmaw in there because it was a big taunt. So
Nice, okay.
Yeah, Priest
you
is
don't
good
have to
because
have
they have the
Chillmaw.
Shadow Word Death and the Shadow Word Pain.
yeah, so I usually just silenced. Like my turn 1 was silence, which is a 0-cost card on the dagger thing or the staff. And then turn 2, I just pained it. So then you didn't have to deal with it at all the rest of the game.
Yeah. Just get rid of it.
Okay, so let's dive into our cards, shall we?
Let's get it.
All right. Andrew, why don't you read for the total what I have there in bold for each class getting their cards?
We've got 12 unique cards and 23 total cards. So that each class is getting 3. There are 45 unique cards and 85 completely for the entire set. Sorry, there's 12 unique and 23 total just for the first wing.
Yeah. Awesome. And then
So when you buy
I
it,
believe that
you
includes the 2 cards that we just get for buying it, right?
Explorer's Hat and Forgotten Torch.
No one hates that.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea, right? That gives Blizzard a chance to include 2 more cards that they may not have anticipated wanting to do for anything. They can add thematic cards, which is pretty awesome. So I really like that.
I think
Especially
Explorer's
since one
Hat
of
is
them's a
just
rare.
fun.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so what are our class cards this week that we're getting in the challenges?
We've
Let's
got
see,
Dark
the
Peddler
Warrior.
from Warlock and the
Okay.
Obsidian Destroyer from Warrior.
All right. So what do they do? Eve, why don't you tell us what the Warrior card does?
At the end of your turn, summon a 1/1 Scarab with Taunt, and it's a 7 mana cost for a 7/7. Yep.
Right?
7/7/7. So it's like
it's a big hogger.
Yeah, I was thinking hogger gets a 2/2 with taunt.
Well,
and he's a 4/4 for 6.
It's a better Hogger, but a worse Dr. Boom. That's kind of what I've heard.
Yeah.
'Cause he's
there
right in
you
between
go.
the two.
It depends
It's
on
pretty
whether or not you
interesting.
like taunt, and taunt is necessary to your game plan. I would say Dr. Boom.
I will
would
tell you
probably
this,
be better.
that the Obsidian Destroyer may not be the greatest card, but it's probably one of my favorite for the art because I am a huge Egyptian mythology nerd, and so I am loving this expansion. This is probably the closest thing I'm ever going to get for an AQ40 expansion.
It is really pretty.
So I love anything to do with Osiris and Horus, so this is getting my mythology
going crazy.
fanboy stuff
Then
tingling.
you probably really love the Anubisoth Sentinel.
Oh, you have no idea. I wish it was a good card.
I don't think it's a bad card. Death Rattle give a random friendly minion +3/+3.
And it's a great death rattle, but it's a terrible card for 5 mana.
It's great for Arena, and combined with that rogue card that copies a Death Rattle effect, it might work with that. I don't know. We'll see.
I think if it's gonna find a place, you're right, Andrew. I think it's in Rogue. I think honestly it fits really weird, but I think Rogue and maybe even Shaman could even use it. But
Yeah.
okay, so Andrew, why don't you tell us what Dark Peddler is and does?
So Dark Peddler's a 2-cost 2/2 minion that has a battle cry, discover a 1-cost card. And I've already been trying it a little bit in a zoo deck, and it works fairly well. It does on the on the outset. 2/2 for 2 is okay, but
It's the vanilla stat.
It's
right?
it's vanilla. It's a little bit under the vanilla of like a River Croc or Bloodfin Raptor, but the Discover mechanic basically gives you an additional card that wasn't in your deck before. And especially in a zoo-oriented deck, you kind of want those low-cost minions that you can just flood
Fills
the
your
board
curve
with.
out.
And so I played it in that Warlock deck, and I got a Soulfire once that was really helpful. I got a Flame Imp once that was really helpful. I even got a Blood Imp once that actually worked really well and stayed on the board for a long time. So
Blood Imp is very good in Zoo.
yeah, so it's interesting. It's a very interesting card and very useful. And I definitely
So
got
that's
a gold
one cost
quickly.
card, so that could also be spells, correct?
That's correct.
Only-
so what
only
are our
Warlock
one-cost
spells.
Warlock spells?
Only Warlock spells. So Power Overwhelming,
Yeah.
Soulfire. What else? There's
Mortal Coil.
Mortal Coil.
You cannot get Sack Pack off this.
No, you could get Corruption. Even that might not be so bad.
Yeah, so you have 4 spells, and then any 1-drop minion.
Yeah.
That's from Warlock or neutral.
Yeah.
And the 1-drop minions that you get in Warlock are awesome,
Yeah.
right? Another Flame Imp to have like your third one. Another Voidwalker. Oh, so
Yeah.
good.
I mean, you don't necessarily want a Goldshire Footman or a Grimscale Oracle, but it's,
It's a 1 and 3.
yeah,
Sometimes
but
just having another body on the board is good for zoo.
yeah, the fact that you've got 3 options and you can choose one, you're probably going to have at least a decent one on there, if not a great one on there.
Yeah. I've been talking to my friend Jay Tonic from Vicious Syndicate, and he said that he's been running Zoo with 2 of these in it, and it's been working wonders.
Cool.
So
Hey, I'm looking at the Warlock cards coming up, and it's
mhm.
probably not available yet because you haven't been able to get it out of the
First swing.
first swing, but Reliquary Seeker is a 1-cost minion.
Oh, so you will be
Reliquary
able to
Seeker,
get that.
that's
Yeah.
the-
So you're going to be able
that's
to
probably gonna
pull
balance out
Reliquary
the card.
Seekers out of Dark Peddlers.
Yeah, but it's a hard
If
one
you
to
need
pull
it.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually
But with
was
Zoo,
thinking
right?
about that.
Like, that's the most likely deck you're going to be able to pull it off with.
Yeah, but
Well, that's true.
it's a high
but-
cost, high reward. And typically with Zoo, you want something that's going to be
You'd rather
a
run a
guaranteed value, and Reliquary Seeker isn't that. It could work.
Yeah. Sea Giant is like a number times better, right? Because you only have to have 5 minions to play Sea Giant for 3. So it's like, this is a good card.
And
I-
that one counts your opponent's minions also, whereas
Yeah, Sea
Reliquary
Giant's
Seeker's
so
just you.
easy to proc, where that one is just like super limiting.
When it does work, it's going to be really rewarding that you get a 5/5 for 1, but it's going to be hard to pull off for sure.
Yeah.
So you're saying if
Okay.
you see this show up, don't pick it.
Yeah, it's
Probably
probably
not.
not going to get any value.
I would say if you've got 2 implosions in your hand, then you might have a really good chance of pulling it off.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so what's boss 1? What's our boss? It's the genie, right? The genie that Reno rubbed the lamp for.
That's right, because Reno's an
All right.
idiot.
Gives you spells every turn.
You are crawling through the spikes. Okay.
No, every time I took the risky one. The one where you either take 0 damage or 10 damage.
Except for the last time when you beat it and I was watching you.
Yes.
You took the 5 damage. You're like, okay, I'll take the 5.
Because every other time it burned
it
me.
hit you for 10.
Yes. And I
that
started
was so
to
funny
think,
because I only watched Andrew do it once. And the one time I watched him, he's like, oh, nice. He almost did it as smooth as me.
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay, so this boss is the easiest boss I've actually encountered on normal and on heroic of all 3 adventures.
Dang.
So, pretty awesome. But
it was pretty easy to get through.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, why don't you walk us through what the Jeweled Scarab is and then explain what Discover is? Because I don't think we've really fully explained it on the show yet.
Well, we just talked about it with the Dark Peddler. So, but just to be clear, it'll give you 3 options of some kind of card. And those are cards that are not in your deck. So they're just, they come out of nowhere. And you get to choose one of them. And really, it sounds like Blizzard took the whole RNG feedback really well. And said, hey, we're going to do something that still capitalizes on a random effect, but gives you more choice. And Discover is really a perfect union of that. So there's RNG that these 3 cards come out of nowhere. You don't know which ones they're going to be, but you get to pick which one you want. So it's not like Unstable Portal where you get a Goldshire Footman, too bad. But you're going to have 3 options, and you probably have a good choice of getting something that's decent from that. And even with that, you have a choice, so you get to choose what's best for you. So, the Jeweled Scarab is a 2-cost 1/1 minion that reads Battlecry Discover, a 3-cost minion. And the reason that's interesting is you play a Jeweled Scarab on turn 2, and you're going to discover a 3-cost card, and so you can play that then on your next turn. So that's the interesting thing. The hard thing is that with it being a 1/1 body, that basically does nothing for you on turn 2. I mean, if your opponent's got a Knife Juggler out, then they can proc that really easily. Right. So it's kind of a hard card to pull off. I did pull one. I got my first arena run in last night with Shaman, and I decided to pick one just to try it out, and it's okay. It's really valuable to be able to pull a card outside of your deck into it because it gives you card advantage immediately. Yeah. But I'm not sure that Jeweled Scarab's going to see a lot of ranked play because it's just such a weak body.
I think that's exactly what it is it happens to be the card that you play, and then you're like, well, now that I'm on turn 2, a lot of players are either passing on turn 1 or not playing a very strong card for turn 1, and then you get this card out there, and you're like, you basically just gave them a free kill, and all you're doing is drawing a card. So it's basically, if you want to compare this to any other card, it's pretty much the same value as a Novice Engineer. A 1/1 for 2 that draws your card.
Right. That's a really good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like we have another card here. What is this one called? It's spelled really weird, but I believe you pronounce it as Genie of Zephyrs. So this card is really interesting, right? So it's kind of mocking the card that you get as a Draconid Sorcerer from Blackrock Mountain. I think is the closest to this card.
Right.
So it benefits from buffing. I don't have the stats in front of me. Do you guys have?
It's a 5-cost 4/6.
Yeah. Whenever you cast a spell on another friendly minion, cast a copy of it on this one.
So you want it in a buffing deck, which Priest and Paladin are going to be the kings of.
Yeah.
Kings.
Got it.
Blessing of Kings.
There it is.
A druid does have.
You think of a deck with Ginny of Zephyrs and the Bane sisters. So you got Fiola and what's her face? Adis.
Fiola and Idis.
So you've got all of these cards that are not only getting buffed from your card, but you get a bonus buff from it. It's very similar to how Flame Waker, Mana Worm works so well in a Tempo Mage. You're getting bonuses off of your spells. You're adding value. So I think we might see something with these because it's an interesting effect, and you're playing a Blessing of Kings for 4 cost, and you're effectively getting +8/+8. That's extremely powerful. So there might be a place for it, but I haven't seen it really running yet.
I like the fact that it has 6 health. That's a decent health minion. And then if you're buffing something, it's going to be even bigger.
Right.
4 is a decent amount of attack as well.
Yep.
I think it's a really decent card.
I think it is like okay for budget players to really think through this, right? Like if you're getting the adventure and you have Genie of Zephyrs, like, and you want to put this in your buff deck, that may be an okay alternative. But think about when we talked through Token Druid. Almost everything in Token Druid isn't single target, so it doesn't do well with the buff sisters, and it doesn't do well with Genie because they're mostly like fill the board with tokens and then power the wild. That does not count. So when you do a group buff, it doesn't work.
Right. So something like Paladin or Priest, because Priest has Velen's.
Exactly. Now, is this the greatest thing that you could probably build to climb the ladder past rank 10? Probably not.
Nah.
But you could probably climb a few ranks and catch some people off guard with this card. I would definitely say that.
Yeah.
I would say since it is an epic, and if you are a budget player, you probably don't have all of them, it could be an alternative to something that you don't have that would work well.
As long as it's a non-archetype card. So if you're trying to replace, your priest dragons that are the Twilight Guardians, that's just not going to work, right?
Right.
So, all right. So let's kind of blow through these a little bit faster, I think, because we got some more things for the whole set that we want to talk through, what you guys want to try looking for, and then we have 2 really large emails that we have a lot of stuff to answer. So let's go through. Boss 2 is the kind of like the Guardian Ferrix. I think that's how you say it, is Ferrix, and he guards the staff. And you get the Summoning Stone, which is basically the Tavern Brawl card that they invented, and a Nubisath Sentinel. So, Eve, why don't you cover the Summoning Stone real quick, and then Andrew, you can take the Sentinel.
Okay.
The Summoning Stone. Let me take a look.
This is 0/6, right?
Yep, for 5.
Why do I not have it in front of me?
I've got it. Yeah, it's a 5 cost 0/6. Whenever you cast a spell, summon a random minion of the same cost.
So yeah, play a spell, get a same mana cost minion. Pretty cool, pretty basic.
Right. If you played the Tavern Brawl, then you understand the mechanic. I saw Strife Crow running a deck last night with this. It was basically a Tempo Mage with that, which was interesting because Tempo Mage is a lot of low cost spells to try and proc off of Archmage Ananidas or Flamewaker, all that stuff. So I don't know that a lot of 1 cost minions are really going to help you that much, but it's interesting. And because the Summoning Stone itself costs so much, you kind of have to play some lower cost spells to guarantee that you can play something off of it. So
something interesting for this set that I think that would be really something that we could probably keep in mind for you Tempo Mage users is these are now cards that you can get in your portal. So getting a Summoning Stone in your portal is actually not that bad.
Yeah, 2 cost for that. I'll take it.
All right, cool. So what's the next card? Is the Nubisath Sentinel.
Yeah.
What does this thing do?
5 cost 4/4. Death Rattle. Give a random friendly minion +3/+3. Probably not going to see
about it a little bit.
Yeah, not going to see a ton of play in ranked, but as arena, it's pretty strong.
This is a really good arena card.
The fact that it's
Like,
a common
all
means
the
you'll see
value.
it quite a bit, and when the fact that it died, I mean, you're basically getting 7/7 worth for 5, which is really good. It's just spread out
really
quite
good.
a bit.
I think they really kept arena in mind with this set. I think that Blizzard did an excellent job keeping arena in mind. This is brilliant. So, all right, and then our last wing is the Temple Escape. So we have Ancient Shade, Rumbling Elemental Shaman card, and then the Sacred Trial Paladin card. And the only thing I will say, the best part about the Sacred Trial card is Disguised Toast video about Sacred Trial and Draxus. So go look that up. It's hilarious. Have you seen this,
I'll have to
Andrew?
check that out. No, I need to.
Oh, man. I laughed out loud, so loud. And my wife doesn't play Hearthstone, and she was losing her noodles.
Okay, I got to check it out then. I will say real quick that Rumbling Elemental, I really want to try out and see how a Battle Cry Shaman deck works. Just because Shaman hasn't been able to figure out something that's effective, I don't think this will be it, but just the fact that it plays so differently, I don't think we've had a card. This is basically a Flame Waker just with Battle Cry effects, you know?
Yeah, it's a Shaman Battle Cry Flame Shaker.
It's interesting to me, if for no other reason, just because it's different. So I'm interested to try that out.
Yeah, it's a really big, sticky minion, but doesn't do a whole lot of damage himself. Like, all the damage he's going to be dealing is that random RNG 2 damage Battlecry stuff. So he could do something interesting there. And then we have the Ancient Shade.
Nah. It's a salty dog with that's 1 less mana cost with a big downside.
Shuffles into your deck. Damage dealing spell that does damage to you.
That's right. Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It's a really bad card in pretty much every sense of the word.
I mean, the class challenge showed when it's good because
when you're immune.
Yeah, when you're immune, that's great. But there are very few times that you're going to be immune.
Mal'Ganis.
So, yeah, Mal'Ganis is it. So,
I mean, you can kind of hope that you never draw it.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
You might have a lot of cards in your deck and then just
like
destroy your enemy before you ever pull it. But yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not garbage, but there's so many better cards that you're going to play before this one.
I'm not a fan of it. I mean, if there was something... I mean, in Handlock, doing damage to yourself isn't so bad because you want to pull out your Molten Giant combo and stuff.
But that's too far. 7?
Yeah.
Sacred Child, though, is really interesting for the newer version of Patron Wear, because they were saying that you can eliminate patrons with this card.
Yeah, I mean, well, really, it just punishes it allows you to kind of regain some ground if your opponent is way ahead, which is good.
It's a comeback mechanic.
Yeah.
It can work really well against Secret Paladin
and Zoo.
Yeah, but it doesn't. That's the thing, though, is if you're playing this one secret to counter Secret Paladin, I would rather have a Sludge Belcher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a cool card. I like it, but especially the art. The art on this, especially in the golden. I was looking through what the goldens look like. This looks really cool in golden.
Yeah, it's got the lasers and the
confirmed.
The
it does nothing
swinging.
to Draxus. If you want to try that, so it does not counter Handlock.
Okay.
And then we have Reno Jackson.
Hello.
Reno Jackson.
This card is crazy. I love this card.
So, Andrew, you were saying you already saw it in a deck?
So I watched Savitz playing. Well, we should say what it is just in case.
Okay.
Right.
Rob.
Yeah, I'll take this one. Reno Jackson is a legendary for this wing. And he basically is a 6-mana minion with 4/6 stats with a battle cry that if your deck has only one of each of the cards in it, then you get to fully heal your hero like a Tree of Life.
Which is
it's just for you.
It's a really strong, it's an incredibly strong effect, but it requires you to build your deck fundamentally different than you ever have. I mean, it's just an accepted thing that you want 2 of each card to create a more consistent deck. The fact that you have no more than one means you don't really know what to expect out of your deck.
Yeah, the other side of Reno is it actually is a very high skill card because you can play him with a lot of 2-ofs in your deck, like in a Freeze Mage or in a Handlock. But if you're keeping track of what you're pulling, you can play him very effectively. You just hold on to him until you need him.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I guess that's true.
He's such a good card, like in Freeze Mage, even if you have so many 2-ofs.
But that's hard to pull off because then you may not be able to get the effect from him. You might be holding on to him till the very end, and it might work.
Well, usually when you're playing Handlock, that's when you want to heal, so it's perfect for them.
I guess so. Okay.
And then in Priest, if you're not in Priest. In Mage, you really only have about 10 cards left when you want to play him anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So it can work pretty well.
I can get behind that. I will say for me, I'm usually not keeping track of my cards closely enough that I would want to do that, but it could work for sure that way. The deck I was playing it in was Savitz created like a mid-range zoo deck basically that had a couple of Handlock principles in it, that ran just one of each card. And man, I've only played it a couple times, but I won both games, and I healed for 26 against a freeze mage and basically shut them down. And that was a lot of fun. Reno's an interesting card, and I think he's got a place. He's proven that much at least. I don't know for how long, but at least for right now, it's hard to kill somebody who's got 60 health, guaranteed.
Yeah, especially if you're playing Reno when you're both kind of low on cards and low hand size, like 3 cards in hand. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, once
right.
you get to the late game, it's probably more likely that you only have one of each card, and you can kind of keep track of it yourself, and then just play him as a major heal.
Yeah. Okay, so Eve, we're going to go with our entire collection of the new cards, and we're going to pick like 2 or 3 cards that you think are amazing, that budget players should look to try to fit into certain decks. So what are your impact card predictions here?
Well, because my internet was giving me a lot of trouble earlier, I actually closed down every window except for Skype and Audacity.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can read them off for you.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
what did I say I was interested in?
So the first one you've got is GorillaBot A3. Which is the mech.
4-cost 3/4 mech. Battle cry: if you control another mech, discover a mech.
Well done.
I thought it would
impressed.
be fun to put into a mech mage deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mechs for
I
days.
think it could be really interesting because this deck can either help you snowball or it can really be slower. It's kind of like a 4-cost version of the spider tank, right?
Yeah.
But that has an added effect. So it depends on how valuable that effect ends up panning out for you in the late game.
Yeah, you could get some really incredible mechs.
The good thing is that you've usually got plenty of mechs on your board, so you're not going to really play this card without something already on board by turn 4. So you've almost got a guarantee for that, and you're just adding reach. You probably don't want 2 of these in your deck just because you're usually playing a lot of value cards, and this one is a little bit slower, but he can really help you extend the game in your favor.
This card to me seems like it's just a really great card to help continue your hand filling, right? Because that's what mech mages really struggle with. They just add a steam and they lose.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
You can get another card, and it's like, wow. Because mech mages why all the players. Go ahead.
They run out of steam really fast. So that's what I was looking at this card. I was thinking, that would definitely help with the problem that they have of just like putting everything on the board and then running out of cards. And the thing to remember is
a synergy card.
Discover gives you an option of 3. It's not just put a random mech in your hand. It gives you 3 cards to choose from.
Right.
So situationally, you might get exactly what you want. Yeah.
That's good.
Okay,
the next one you've got here is Tomb Spider. Do you remember? Remember Tomb Spider?
Tomb Spider is a 4-mana cost, 3/3, battle cry, discover a beast. And it is a beast itself. And I've just been having fun trying to make a beast hunter deck. So I thought it would be a fun card to put in. And you could choose from 3 cool beasts, and you never know which one you're going to get. King Crush.
Yeah, I think Eve is right on the money with this one because a lot of pro players that you're going to be watching their card reviews are going to say, this is a bad card, I'll never play this, blah, 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 blah. Like, they kind of dismiss a lot of cards like this one, even though it may be slow. But the fact of the matter is, these are good cards for people that just buying an adventure and don't have a whole lot of card collection. These are great. And something to keep in mind, every time you see Discover, if the Discover mechanic is tied to a battle cry, then these are going to trigger twice with Bran, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
So you can draw 2 cards with Bran, which is very powerful.
But you've also got to consider that as a 7 cost because Bran's 3, right?
Exactly.
So it's hard to pull off with that even. But with the Discover mechanic, you already saw in these 2, they're fundamentally slower cards. So the hard thing is that in a very fast meta, the way things have been lately, these cards are going to be rough. But they can be extremely valuable, especially for a budget player, when you discover a card that you don't have yet that's really, really valuable. Yeah. So you get a Savannah Highmane out of, or a King Crush or Gazrilla, that can totally change the game for you. But you've got to choose the smart times to play them for sure.
Yep.
I just think Beast Energy is pretty good in Hunter.
Yeah.
It activates,
Absolutely,
your
absolutely.
different cards.
Beast and Hunter and Druid want him for sure.
Yeah.
And then you've got Fossilized Devilsaur here.
Oh, yeah. I just thought it was fun. Battle Cry, if you control a beast, gain taunt. 8 for an 8/8.
It's really good in Arena, guys.
No, wait.
No,
wait,
in Arena? What are the odds you're going to have a beast in Arena?
It doesn't matter. It's a big body, and it's a common.
Yeah, but it's Ironbark Protector, only worse.
Yeah, but how many times are you in Arena where you just need big bodies to end your curve?
Big bodies with taunt.
So you've got
It
a little
doesn't
bit
matter
more
if it
of a
has taunt
chance.
or not. This thing is huge.
You got a little
if you're
bit
in
more
a
of a
top
chance.
deck war and you get more valuable cards in the late game, this is what you want, man.
Yeah. I'm not sold on it, but
It's not amazing in Arena, I'll give you that. Okay, but this is an end game card that you can pick in Arena that will work.
okay.
I think it could be good for mid-range Hunter.
It's the same reason as if you're going through your Arena draft and you see a War Golem and you don't have any big bodies. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the player who doesn't have everything, who doesn't have all the legendaries, and they're looking for big bodies to put for their end game for mid-range Hunter.
Okay. I can get behind that.
8 for an
Yeah, for a
8/8.
Hunter, I
You
can
get
see
it
that.
if you have the expansion.
And it's guaranteed for you because you're buying the adventure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, my biggest beef with this card is honestly that it's not a beast. Like,
Well,
it can't
yeah.
help enable my beast cards.
It's
but
a
it does
fossilized
enable buy a
Devilsaur.
beast.
It would be better if it was a beast itself, but
It's a bunch of bones, so I get the
Yeah.
lore aspect. And then you said plus all the Murlocs.
yeah, there's just so many Murloc cards that I really am looking forward to trying to make a Murloc deck.
like Tiny Fin.
Yeah. And that other one that gives you like 7 Murlocs for 10.
Oh gosh.
Oh, the Paladin, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Oh, is that
I don't
only
like
going to
that
be in
card
Paladin?
because
I
they
didn't
have
know it was
6
Paladin
Murlocs instead of
specific.
7 on the card. It says it will summon 7,
Why?
and they show 6 Murlocs on the card.
Okay. So Rob, what are...
All right, Andrew.
Oh,
Oops, sorry.
yeah,
I cut
that's
you off
funny.
again.
Funny.
Our internet is like back and forth.
That's all good. Rob, why don't you go ahead and tell us your impact cards?
I'm going to tell you what every other pro player is going to tell you.
Okay.
Tunnel Trogg is broken.
No, it's not broken.
It's not broken. I'm exaggerating.
It's good though. It's
This
exciting.
card is exactly what shamans need. That's what this card is. It's a 1-drop shaman card, guys. That's all you need to know. It doesn't even have to be good. It just has to be a shaman card that's 1-drop, right?
It's a good thing. I don't think it's gonna fix Shaman, but it is definitely a step in the right direction.
Right. It basically effectively has brought back mid-range shaman to more consistency than it had in the World Championship when it was already good. I feel like they just lack a few tools, and this is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it basically is a 1-drop, 1/3 like Mana Worm, but when you have an overload card that you play, you get an additional attack point per locked crystal. So if you use, for instance, a Lava Burst, that is a card that gives you 2 mana crystals that are locked, which means you get a 2 attack bonus. So Tunnel Trogg turns into a 3/3.
Yeah.
So it can be good.
It's kind of
it
slow.
It is a little slow, but I feel like this is going to bring back the Spirit Wolves card. It's going to make your board clears a lot better.
Totem
which is
Golem.
It makes Totem Golem even that much better.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is a good card.
Yeah, Tunnel Trogg into Totem Golem, and then if you can get a Feral Spirit off in the next turn or 2, I mean you're looking at a solid board at that point.
Yep.
See, the problem I saw with Totem Golem is that it gives you overload right away, and then your next turn is so awkward. And it's like, what do I do now?
Unless you have another Totem Golem in your hand, then you're
or
fine.
unless you have Spirit Wolves, which is even better, right? So if you can play Tunnel Trogg into Totem Golem or Spirit Wolves, you're protecting this card.
Is it Feral
inadvertently.
Spirit?
Feral Spirits, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, I actually have 800 dust save to make 2 of these in golden as soon as they come out. This card's so bad.
It's a pretty card too.
Really?
Yeah, it's cool.
He's ugly,
Yeah.
but he's pretty.
Pretty?
I love this card.
gonna have to disagree with you there.
The smoke and he's ugly, but the card
golden
itself
looks
is pretty.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's lots of smoke.
Okay, I'll let you have that one.
And the flavor text says, sure, they're ugly, but they live in tunnels. You try your beauty routine without natural light. I mean, come on.
That's
Is
exactly
that what
I
it
was about to
says?
say.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it has the best flavor text.
I forgot the fun of going into all the new cards and reading the flavor text.
Those
if you
are
guys
fun.
haven't
Yeah.
I
done
have them
it,
all
you
listed
need
on
to
Hardbone.
go.
They're great.
Or you can
They're
find
just
them
fun.
in-game under crafting.
Yeah, that's true too. Okay, my other card is sort of Raven Idol. This is another interesting tool that Blizzard has chosen to give players. They really didn't give us a lot of big powerhouse cards this time around, but instead they've given us a lot of interesting solutions to problems that we currently have. And they've also given us more cards to kind of give us additional options of things we may not be thinking about. Okay, so Raven Idol has the ability, it's a 1-mana card, discover a minion or discover a spell. So it's a very versatile, you would say maybe even a high random cost, but you're only going to get druid spells, druid beasts, druid minions and or neutral minions. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This card, I looked at the math. There is a competitive HS board on all of the discover cards and their level of effectiveness. So the good to great percentage of getting a good to great card that is a spell is over 60% for this card.
That's good.
Which means, like Wild Growth, Swipe, like the fact that you can
Force of
play this
Nature.
card on turn 1. Yeah, Force of Nature. The fact that you can play this card on turn 1 and have a 60% chance to get a good to great card, or even if you do the math on the total spells and divide them by the total spells by how many you can get of one card you're looking for out of 3
Sure.
is basically take the total amount of spells divided by 3, and that's your chance of getting a Wild Growth. Guaranteed ramp. That's crazy.
And here's what I really like about it. You think about your turn 1 play, playing this card, and my gut reaction was, well, yeah, but it doesn't do anything for you.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. It guarantees whatever your hand is, whatever your hand ended up being, you play this card, and then immediately you can fill in the gaps of your hand with whatever pull. I mean, that's brilliant, and
it's so versatile in early and in late game, and it fills out your curve because it's 1 mana.
Mm-hmm.
It's
you
so
look
good.
at what am I missing in my hand, and you're not guaranteed that you're gonna find exactly what you need, but you've got a choice of 3. You're probably gonna find something that fits your hand really well and allows you to do a lot better than you could have otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Also, this card art reminds me a lot of the Raven Lord in Heroes of the Storm. It looks amazing. It's so good.
I'm just thinking Indiana Jones with this one. I mean,
yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And then my last card is actually the Forgotten Torch. Very cool card that you get as soon as you open your adventure. It's a 3-mana mage card that you can get that basically just does 3 damage, and then it shuffles another 3-mana cost card into your deck that's a 3-mana fireball.
mm-hmm.
And it's called the Blazing Torch or something like that.
Roaring
Torch. So the Roaring Torch is 3 mana as well?
Yes.
Yes. That's what makes this card insane. It basically gives you another fireball to shuffle in your deck for tempo or for freeze mage or for what they're calling a spell heavy face mage, I guess is what people are trying to make this card for. You just have a crap ton of spells and you just use them all on your opponent's face fast.
Mm-hmm.
And this card is also really good in freeze mage because what it does is it effectively helps you in your fatigue game by giving you 1 to 2 extra cards to put into your deck. And it doesn't make you feel bad for playing a Frostbolt on turn 3, right? Because it gives you a card to play on turn 3 that does effectively the same thing as a Frostbolt. And it helps you save your Frostbolts so you can use an Ice Lance for additional 4 damage if you need it.
Yeah.
So
It's
in
not
Tempo
bad.
Mage, I'd just replace your Frostbolts with this.
Sure.
I don't know if I would necessarily do that. I think that it's fair in Tempo Mage to maybe include 1 of these. I don't know if you want to have 2.
It's kind of a funky card because none of us were sitting around thinking, man, Mage needs more direct damage spells. You know, that's what
right?
they really. And so this one's kind of funky, but it still does something that those ones don't, which is add another card to your deck, which helps you in fatigue matches and stuff like that, which for freeze mage is really important, or for
Sorry, in Tempo Mage, don't you find yourself a lot of times just hoping to top deck a fireball for the win?
Yeah. And this will help
So
you
this
with
is
that.
exactly what that card is for, I think.
Yeah. That's probably accurate.
Okay, Andrew, what are you hyped for, my friend?
You know I'm hyped for everything, but I have to give proper love for my fierce monkey.
Monkey
because
credence.
Everybody wants the fierce and the flavor text on this one is fierce monkey, that funky monkey. Which if you get the reference, then
If you guys are
Okay,
wondering
so
how Andrew
why are
chooses
you
his
so
favorite
happy
cards,
about
he goes to the
Fierce
flavor
Monkey?
text.
Okay, so Fierce Monkey isn't like this amazing powerful card, but it's a common card that's strong, which means that Warrior Arena is stepping up a little bit, which is always good. It's a 3-cost 3/4 with taunt. It's a beast, whatever. Beast don't matter for Warrior.
Beast no matter.
But what I really liked about it was in the class challenge that we played. I don't know about you guys, but as I was playing that, I was like, okay, Taunt Warrior can kind of work now. I don't know that it's super effective, but I think that this card really gives it a little bit more that it needed, you know?
Yeah.
And the Taunt Warrior, when I saw Bolster for TGT, I was really excited about it working, and it just didn't. I think this is going to give it a little bit more. Mostly this card is going to have an effect on Warrior Arena, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
Because it's just a strong common minion for warriors, which they've been missing. So
I want to say they were thinking of exactly that problem when they made this card.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they were.
And the Keeper of Uldaman.
Which is my next card.
Yeah.
4-cost Paladin, 3/4. Battlecry, set of minions, attack and health 2/3. So
this card.
The reason it's so powerful is because you can nerf Dr. Boom immediately, or you can bolster one of your Silverhand recruits immediately. So it's incredibly versatile for what it's able to do.
Oh, right. You can do it to your own minions.
Exactly.
You can 2 arms man plus this and make a 6/6 recruit.
And Paladin
into
is
a
the
captain.
class that wants that because they've got a lot of small minions. So the problem with it is that Paladin already has so many powerful 4-cost cards with True Silver Champion, Consecration. I mean, so this card's going to have a tough time finding its place, but for sure everyone is going to be trying to figure it out and trying to make it work. And it's a powerful card, no question.
Yeah, over and over again, don't you see this like as being a one-of card?
Yeah. Probably. I think that for the deck that just keeps, or if you keep coming up against decks with really powerful minions and you need to silence them, you need to, undercut them. I mean, you've got your follows the rules. Yeah, it's funny how. Thank you. Rob and I didn't know the name of it, but we knew what he says. So you've got those, you've got your big game hunters, but you need just a little bit more than this guy can. The fact that he's she's versatile.
Yes, she.
Yeah, girls can be keepers too. So,
Did you play Oldemon back in the day? I remember fighting her so many times.
Oh yeah,
dude. Yeah, she was a fun boss.
I didn't play WoW that far.
I
killed a bunch of boars. That's what I remember.
Killing boars. There was a staff back then too.
Yeah, and then my last one is Entomb, which is just
Entomb. Cassandra.
And now this one, if you haven't seen the Gold Art 4, you have to.
Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah, basically the whole place is
like rattling
quaking.
And sand is coming down.
The door opens. It's pretty. But Entomb is just recycle, except for it's shuffling the minion into your own deck. And recycle never saw play because the only advantage it had as a removal spell was that you could get rid of death rattle effects.
And it was for the wrong class, let's be honest. It was for the wrong class.
That's fair. But the fact that you're actually taking their card, I mean, it's a lower cost mind
their
control.
Card and putting it in your deck.
Yeah, it can be a big deal. So
So they need to make the next priest card be called Embalm.
Entomb and Embalm. There you go. We're just gonna mummify their whole deck.
Which basically means play Reynad and watch the salt come.
Yeah. Yes. And priest is the deck that steals your deck. So
yeah,
this is one more tool.
Takes your cards, copies your minions, steals them. Yeah, I just thought Milkshake. As soon as I saw Entomb, I was like, this is the perfect card to put in that annoyingly frustrating.
The one thing I've heard the most about Entomb, Andrew, I don't know how many card reviews you've been looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Entomb is priest's basic need of removing Sylvanas. like when you have a control priest and you're playing up
Ooh.
against Sylvanas or even a Ysera and you can't steal it, you have nothing for single target removal unless you're running your 10 mana mind control. And even that's not always good, right?
Sure.
So if you're playing Entomb, it gives you 4 mana on a 10 mana turn of versatility and you can steal something off the board.
Yeah.
Like, this is so powerful for Priest. I think Priests have finally got their control priest back up to snuff.
I'm always hesitant of any of these cards going overboard with, just because we haven't actually played them in decks yet. We can hypothesize all we want, but we just don't. Entomb is a powerful effect, but how is it going to work in it? I mean, I can't think of like. It's not that every time I play my priest deck, I come up against a Sylvanas, I don't know what to do, and I lose, right?
Yeah,
but for those
true.
specific situations, this could be exactly what they need for that kind of a response.
Yeah. So in the control versus control matchup, this is what you're looking to have in a priest match. And you're not
definitely
always
have a
wanting to
one
have
of
two
in
of
there.
these.
Yeah.
You definitely don't run 2 of these, never.
Yeah.
So, okay. Guys, we appreciate you listening through all of our predictions, even though they'll probably be wrong, just like most pro players. So it's all
Always.
good. But it doesn't matter. I'm still making 2 Golden Tunnel Troggs, so you can't stop me.
All right, fine.
All right. Eve, would you like to read our email from our anonymous listener who wanted to say, like, I was going to be able to read her name. I couldn't pronounce it. His or her name, I guess, I don't know. It's a foreign name, and they asked that they would rather be a anonymous person. So I said, okay. We're going to read your question.
Yes, I am going to read it. Email from anonymous.
She's frantically pulling this up right now.
Yes, email from anonymous listener. Hey guys, I just wanted to say great job on your podcast. I recently discovered your podcast and I just felt like I had to email to say how entertained I am by each and every episode. The chemistry between all the hosts and guests is just fantastic. I'm glad that there's a channel out there that focuses on budget deck and help new budget players. My question pertains to solo quests. As a college student, I sadly don't have a lot of money to spend on the game. However, I still want to be able to compete against players that do spend money. Should I be using my gold to buy more packs, or should I save my money to get the solo adventures? If I do buy the solo adventures, which one should I buy first, Nax or Blackrock Mountain? Lastly, I would like to know your opinions on the state of Hearthstone for new players. In other words, can a new player get into the game and still be able to have the same experience a veteran has, or will it be too hard considering the vast amount of cards that have been released for a newbie to get settled in? Thanks.
This is a perfect question.
Really good email.
Yeah.
This is
Lot
probably
of
the best
points
email
to
we've
cover.
gotten to date, so thank you very much.
Yeah. Not that we're insulting the rest of the emails, but
No,
really
we're
good
definitely
email.
not. But this pertains exactly to what we're trying to do as a show.
And
Yeah.
we're really glad that it seems to be filling the niche that we were hoping people needed, so it's awesome.
So, Andrew, you thought through this quite a bit, so let's let
Yeah.
you kick off here your response.
So if you don't want it, or if you have any money at all to spend, and I get being in college and not having money, because that was definitely my plight too.
Right.
You want to spend your money on the adventures, because if you think about it in this way, you could sink $100 into packs and still not get the cards that you want. You'll get plenty of dust from it, but you have no guarantee. With the adventures, it's absolutely a guarantee.
You know what you're getting.
Exactly. And if you do we could run it down, but just trust us on this. It's way more worth your money to buy adventures rather than packs. So if you're going to spend any money in the game, do it on adventures.
Wait, Nax is out?
Did you hear that? No. And I'm going to argue that Nax is definitely the first step for adventures. Because you got Sludge Belcher, you got Zombie Chow. There's so many
Haunted
cards that are
Creeper,
still in
Mad
play.
Scientist, Loatheb.
I would say my thoughts were that Blackrock Mountain works really well for specific decks. Like if you really want to make a Dragon Priest, you have to have Blackrock Mountain cards. You can't make it without it.
If you want to make
there's
a Freeze
specific
Mage.
decks like Patron Warrior, you can't make it without patrons. But if you want cards that are more neutral cards that are good in a lot of different decks, like Sludge Belcher and Mad Scientist and Loatheb, Nax.
Start with Nax.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I will say to kind of piggyback off what you said there, Eve, is after you buy Nax and you're considering just buying the other adventures, if you still don't want to spend that much money, I would say if you're going to spend any money on Hearthstone, you should spend the bulk of your currency, your real life currency, on the adventures, like Andrew said. You want to start with Nax, and you want to keep that one as the forefront of your mind. You also, I believe, you can even forego spending a lot of your cash flow on the Blackrock Mountain and just spend the 700 on the first wing. You're getting the most bang for your buck on that first wing because you're getting Emperor, you're getting the 2 really good class challenge cards, and I think you're getting I think you're getting the Patron on that first wing as well. So it's such a good thing just to spend 700 gold on that. And then let this first wing of Legend League of Explorers. There we go. League of Explorers is really good to buy the first wing because you're also first and fourth wing, you're getting the most densely packed amount of cards because you're getting the 2 cards just for buying, right? You get the hat and you get the torch, which is a good card. And then you get a couple other good cards that we talked through. I will say if you want to play Shaman, you probably want to go for that Tunnel Trogg wing. But
for sure.
Again, like Andrew said to his point, you want to look for the wings and the adventures that have the cards that you need in order to play the decks that you want to play. So again, everything that we're going to give you advice-wise is going to go back to goals that you have for the game. Except for, we recommend every player needs to get Nax. Yeah. Because it has a core of every single deck, and it's the most versatile.
I feel like you could almost skip TGT.
Well, those
that's
are
pretty close. That's pretty close to what I'm saying, but that's more for exploration. Yeah. What I would say is there's going to be a lot of classic cards that you should do, but I think if you're going to spend money on the game, get Nax, right? And then when you go to packs and you're trying to reevaluate packs, I would say you should spend your first chunk of money on maybe split 50-50 between classic and GVG.
Yeah.
And then from that point forward, you need to spend all of your in-game currency on a combination of Arena if you want to start learning that and get better at it, or you need to spend all of your in-game currency on classic packs. And then anytime you decide to spend money, you just jump those into GVG cards.
Yep. Yeah. And speaking of all of the amount of packs there are to buy, our second question here from anonymous listener is about the state of Hearthstone for new players. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I don't buy the whole amount of cards is too complex argument.
Okay.
And that's mainly based off of my experience with the Pokemon TCG online game. So real quick backstory, I played the card game when I was a kid, when it was first coming out, and I loved it, all that stuff. Too. I took so many years off of it until right around the time I got into Hearthstone, which was Nax last year. And I found that it was free online also, so I pulled it up, and I knew I remember the basic mechanics, but obviously there were so many new cards in that TCG, and they're in a pattern of like releasing so many new cards every month.
They release it way too fast.
I mean, there's so much. So I would say that for them, it was definitely my experience with that game was jumping in and saying, I don't know all these cards, but I'm just going to jump in with what I have, and I'm going to get what I have, and I'm going to keep moving. Right. And I would experience through my matches what really effective cards were. And I would say, I need that card, or I need that card. And I think that new players for Hearthstone are going to see the same thing. When they start coming up against a Secret Paladin a few times, you're going to say, man, that Mysterious Challenger card is really powerful. I want to see how to get that. And I think that the game just naturally takes you through that progression. The biggest encouragement to me is that Blizzard is always, I remember them saying they're always reevaluating the practice, like how a new player starts out getting the tutorial and everything. They're always reevaluating that. So that's constantly going to be changing and hopefully always going to be a good launch pad for them. Right. But nothing's going to help a new player more than just getting into the game and playing, trying the cards that they think work but are actually awful, and stuff like that. So I think that the on-ramp process looks good. It's just always going to be tougher the later you wait to jump in the game.
Yeah, it's definitely an up ramp, right? You're still trying to gain card collection like you're going to do for any card game. I'll spend my 2 cents real quick, Eve, and then I'll let you kind of talk through what you heard at BlizzCon, right? Because I know you're probably going to want to talk about what they talked through their Tavern Brawl, chat. So my biggest thing when I went into the game was I knew I was going to be spending money, but I didn't know how much I was going to be spending. And the reason I tell you this is because I played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! More so than I did Pokemon, but I did play both, like Andrew. I did play Pokemon when I was a kid, but then I played Yu-Gi-Oh! And I got really good at it. I guess you could say I played the face hunter of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was a really good player because I went to a local card shop every Saturday in the summer and I won the tournament, like first place a couple weeks, and I was always finishing top 8 like every week. So, and I was like 10, so keep that in mind. But anyways, not to brag rights or anything, but every single card game that exists, you have to spend money for.
Yep.
Because you have to pay in order to get a physical card, and then you're actually shelling out more because you're getting sleeves to protect your cards so they're durable. You're getting pack like protectors to hold your decks. You're getting cases to hold your cards. You're getting binders and sleeves and blah, 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 blah. There's like so much stuff. And then if you play Magic, you're getting tokens and you're getting D20s and you're getting like everything to show your life total. I remember I was looking at buying a really cool Yu-Gi-Oh! Calculator at one point for just showing your health. And this is before smartphones and before like this is like the dawn of Palm Pilots, people. So people were cool when you had a Palm Pilot. But that's my biggest thing is I'm like, if I'm going to play a card game, I should at least give a little bit of money. Like we talked about this, I think a little bit almost every third show about spending money on a game you love to support.
Yeah, we talked about that.
But that aside, like just the support side, you really need to spend money if you want to expand your card pool. I mean, it just makes sense, right? Like you spend money for cards and you want to expand your collection, you're going to spend a little bit of cash. I'm not saying you have to spend a crap ton. I think it's cool open packs in a big bulk, but buying one pack at a time with gold sometimes stinks for me.
Yeah, my opinion about it is basically you have to have realistic expectations. And the question about whether somebody who doesn't spend money on the game is going to be able to compete with people who do spend money on the game, not at a high level, no. If you do not have all the cards, then that is going to put you at a disadvantage. And we would like to be able to tell you you can do just as much as the legend players without a full card collection, but you can't. So you have to give yourself realistic goals. You can do the best with the cards that you have, and you can work towards getting cards that are going to make you more competitive. Mm-hmm. And as long as you're not expecting to be rank 1 with your little card collection, then you can still get a lot of enjoyment out of the game and a lot of fun out of the game and see it as a progression, as working towards becoming more competitive every month, getting a bigger card pool every month. And even though there are a lot of cards out there, keep in mind that not all of them are played. Even as
not
Blizzard,
all of them are good.
Yeah, even as Blizzard adds more and more cards to Hearthstone, there's still a very small percentage of those cards that are used in every deck. And in the most competitive decks, it's still a small percentage. So don't see every expansion as getting further and further behind. Understand that only a small percentage of those are going to end up being very competitive in the end. So just narrow your focus down to what you want, what kind of deck you want to play, and work towards that.
Now we could go on this topic, listener, for quite a while, but we're gonna want to cover one more question, and then we're gonna cover 2 iTunes reviews, and then we'll close out the show because we're already over time. So
let's get it.
Let's do it. Eve, you read the last email. Andrew, why don't you read this one?
I'll take it. Hey, I'm Cow21 on Hearthstone. Not me, but the listener. And I'm a big fan of the podcast. I just started playing Hearthstone right after BRM released, and being 14, I don't have a ton of money to shell out on expansions or packs. I did buy Nax and several packs, but I really want to get Blackrock Mountain. Here's my problem. I have an addiction to arenas. Lame, I know, but something about the random cards and the thrill of anything happening gets me coming back to play. My question is, how can I get enough value out of my arena runs to fairly consistently not lose gold? I don't know, maybe I just need to stop playing arenas when I have 150 gold. Any help you guys have would be great. Once again, huge fan, and I love how you have tips for budget players like me. Thanks. No, sir, thank you.
Thank you for your email.
Yeah. And I want to quickly say that I can completely relate to this because I have had the exact same problem where I was completely addicted to Arena and was just sinking every single bit of gold that I had into it.
To go do it, yeah.
So I will say that my biggest, I'm going to sidestep your question to Cal and tell you that it's probably best for you to like really like curb the addiction. For me, that took just completely shifting my focus onto ranked. So I would go on Hearthstone and just look over all of the deck lists, look at what I could try. There are tons of budget decks on there specifically that you could go if you're struggling to find certain cards, but really looking at different thoughts of, man, are there certain decks I could craft? And once you start hitting win streaks on the ladder, man, that will get your addiction right onto ranked play. And it's so much cheaper. Okay, but that's my opinion.
Okay.
So you go ahead and take the other side.
The first thing I thought was he has fun playing Arena, and that's what this game is for, is to have fun, whichever way you want to play it. Like,
Sure.
There's nobody saying to you, the only way you have fun is by ranking up and reaching a higher rank every month.
Sure.
If the funnest part you have is Arena, I know players who do nothing but Arena. That's all they do. Because it's fun for them, and they don't find any other part of it, Brawl or ranking up on ladder, fun. If you find Arena fun, then just play Arena and have fun.
The problem...
I want to address probably what you're going to say,
go
Andrew.
Go ahead.
I think that what Andrew's about to say, so I'll predict this, is the fact that you can only earn gold most effectively on ladder.
Yep.
I understand that, but I want to say to him, value your fun as well. Don't just value your time spent in how much gold you get out of it.
That's fair.
Also value how much fun you have out of it. And if you have a lot of fun playing Arena, that's good. That's
but the problem is, if your Arena runs don't go well, then you're left with no gold, and then you can't play Arena. So then all of a sudden you're either left with not playing or not having fun.
Yeah,
so,
and he's probably trying to get off the cusp of becoming an average Arena player, the 3 to 6 wins player.
Which was the real question here.
Mm-hmm.
That was the real question. So what would you say to him, Rob?
Man, I would say, honestly, this is kind of like completely out of the loop. But when you're done playing Arena and you just want to, I would say your 2 things you need to do is be disciplined to finish your daily quests. Okay?
Yes.
Do that. No matter how much gold, sometimes I just re-roll I re-roll quests even if they're high gold cost. Like if I get 60 gold or 50 gold for it, I just re-roll it because I don't want to play that class, or I want to re-roll it to see if I can get 2 of my class quests to align together. For instance, I've got Warlock Priest and then Priest only. That's really good because I can play 5 Priest matches and knock out 2 quests. So it's really good. So I would say that's the first thing. The second thing is you still don't have any gold. You're kind of burned out. You still don't want to play on ladder. You got your quest done. I would say once you get to that point, try to get your 3rd win with that class so you can get that 10 gold for the day if you haven't already. And then hop on Twitch and look for people playing Arena. That's how I got better at Arena. I watched Dills. I watched Adwicta. I watched Amaz. Amaz is an amazing Arena player.
Yeah, he is.
I've watched Masan, Hafu. It's just good. Like, I like watching people play in Arena because they tell you why they're picking what they're picking and stuff like that. So, I think that's probably exactly what you were looking for. Let's go into our iTunes and Stitcher reviews. Eve, do we have any Canada reviews?
No, we just have the one so far.
Okay, Andrew, why don't you go ahead and read our brand new Stitcher review?
Stitcher. I've listened to hundreds of podcasts to help pass the time at work, and this one is now in my top 3. Informative, especially for someone who reached rank 5 and had no idea how he got there. I am relearning what I did right. Thanks. That's awesome, man.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for submitting that. I'm gonna pull up your name right now. I forgot to include it in our show notes.
It really is a big deal.
It is from Frog of the Motherland.
Ooh.
17 days ago.
I hope he's excited about
Huge
Huge Toad. Because
well, they now have a new card. So
yeah, that's right.
And says simply a must listen. Thank you so much for that review. If you really feel that way and you can send us an iTunes review that's equal caliber, we would be very thankful because iTunes is where we get the most traffic. But I really appreciate you sending us a Stitcher.
It's a big deal.
Thank you so much. I will read off our one iTunes review then. This is actually from the guy who sent our email to Cow21. He says,
Nice.
5 stars. I love this show. This is a really funny mixed troll review, so I like this. It says, this is a great podcast. I love how the target audience is budget players and the tips help them play, and tips to help them play without paying an arm and a leg. Won't stop listening. To sum up my review, great mate, I rate 8/8. So nice. Great. I really appreciate you guys sending these iTunes reviews. I was getting kind of nervous, like right before the show. I was like, man, might be our first week to not get a 5-star iTunes review.
What do you know? There you go.
And he came through. So if you guys love the show, please show the support. The number one way you can show your support is that 5-star review.
That's right.
Even if it's just clicking 5 stars and we don't read it on the show, that's fine. Like I do check and see the numbers. It helps so much now that we're not in the new and noteworthy or in the top, slots to get back up there so people can find us.
Mm-hmm.
Tell your friends about us because we're trying to help players that are in this really common bracket of needing pool of cards. So, Eve, you got to go here pretty soon. So let's go ahead and have you plug yourself, shall you?
I'm on Twitter at Finnovar, FHINNOVARR. On Twitch as Evemartyn, EVEMARTYN. And that's also me on the PS4 playing Destiny.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. All right, Andrew, what about you, man?
Oh, did I tell you what happened?
No,
what?
You didn't.
After I had the last week's call and I told you all about my woes.
Yeah.
Somebody contacted me on Twitter.
Okay.
So I haven't told you about this. There's this group called the Dames of Destiny, which is a group of just women playing with other women and supporting other women in gaming.
That's what I'm talking about.
They're on the PC, on the Xbox One, and
awesome.
the PS4, and they were like, "We would love it if you would like to join our guild."
Nice.
That's
Way to
so
go.
awesome.
Shout out to them, the Dames of Destiny. Awesome group.
Hashtag
Very
Dames.
cool. Hashtag Dames. There you go. Very cool. Well,
Yeah.
go join her on there
Dames.
if you're a lady listening.
Yes.
Lady
good.
listeners, listen up.
There you go. I'm on Twitter at Andrew is Living, or you can find some arena tips from me at BinacaFreak on YouTube. So hopefully that could help you out too, Takao, if you want to check that out.
Yeah. Okay, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at NotRob. You can find me on Facebook at NotRobMedia for my digital portfolio and for my photography portfolio. You can find me on Snapchat at NotRobMay. You can play some Rocket League with me on Sir Twick on Steam. You can find my comedy podcast, which we missed recording last night, but I'm uploading another episode today, so hashtag awesome. You can find that as on iTunes, Stitcher, RSS as the MAYZ podcast, which stands for Maze. So you can find us on Twitter at Maze_podcast and Facebook.com/the MAYZ podcast. That's it for me. It's it from Eve, and that's it from Andrew. What about our show? Where can you find us? Andrew? What about social media? You
can find us on Twitter at Velen's Podcast, Facebook Velen's Chosen Podcast. Email us, just like those lovely listeners did, at valenschosenpodcast@gmail.com. Any questions you've got about Arena,
we'll read them on the show.
Yeah, whatever budget. If you've got a deck you want us to check out and give some opinions, just shoot that in. Or if you've got a response maybe to something that you heard us say where you're like, oh, no, you didn't. You left this out. Let us know. We'll talk about it some more. You can also find us on Patreon, search for Velen's Chosen, and we're on iTunes and Stitcher and Posthaven.
Awesome. Yeah, please check out our website. It's usually where I post most of the links. It's velenschosen.posthaven.com. Eve, what's our esports hero code for players that like esports?
I keep telling you, I don't have
here?
the Safari up.
I had to close so esports
because of the internet connection.
Gotcha.
Frantically searching on my phone.
Pass it off. All right, so esports hero. If you like playing for some coins, you can get 5,000 coins or equivalent of $5 on esports hero by typing in the code VelensChosen15. No spaces. Thank you guys for the show. Not all who wander on the ladder are lost. Good luck on the ladder this week.
See ya.
Take this time to consider your past deeds.
Stop asking questions. You had your chance. Did I miss it?